A few miles west of Union Station in Denver is our next stop in Golden. The Colorado Railroad Museum has an outstanding collection of railroad equipment that represents the history of Colorado railroading, as well as a large archival collection inside. Here, visitors can browse through displays depicting Colorado's rich railroading history. The outdoor displays showcase notable locomotives such as Burlington Route 5629, which is an example of a large steam locomotive, Rio Grande 5771, which is a 1950s-era diesel, and Rio Grande number 491, which is a narrow-gauge steam locomotive. Now, during the course of this program, we'll be visiting several narrow-gauge railroads. Narrow-gauge track is closer together than the rails most of us see every day. Here we see a display of 3-rail track with the 3-foot-wide narrow gauge running inside. One of the most famous narrow gauge railroads was the Rio Grande Southern, which was once located in southwestern Colorado. The RGS was famous for its fleet of motor cars called Galloping Geese. The railroad was chronically poor and built a fleet of gasoline-powered motor cars with salvage parts. Each was a little different. Goose 2 was built in 1931 using a Buick 4-door sedan with passengers sitting in the auto body while Mail and Express rode in the compartment behind. Goose 7 was constructed in 1936 using a 1926 Pierce Arrow car body with a 1936 Ford V8 engine. Its freight compartment was later turned into tourist coach.
Let's go.
Let's take a ride on number 7 around the museum grounds.
Got a Goose that was built somewhere in the early 1930s that the Rio Grande Southern used to take place of the steam locomotive. This was much cheaper to operate because they only had one motorman, whereas a steam crew you had to have engineer, fireman, brakeman, and a conductor at least.
These motor cars are an interesting bit of Colorado's colorful railroad history. The crown jewel of the museum is locomotive number 346. This narrow-gauge locomotive was built in 1881 for the Denver and Rio Grande and is operated all over Colorado. 346 still works and is run a few times a year for all to enjoy. Today, the 346 is borrowing the tender from sister 318. If you're interested in Colorado history, the Colorado Railroad Museum should be high on your list of places to visit.